Hello and welcome back to Talkin' Giants, presented by the Fanatics Sportsbook. Today is March 17th, 2020. What year are we in?
6.
I said 5. I may have been saying 5. I have no clue. I think on a bank, because I go to the bank at checking withdrawal slips, and I think I wrote, because I don't own a debit card, I don't believe in that. You just learned a lot about me. I think I wrote 2025, and I've been doing that. So it's 2026. It's March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
You can't do that to me. You can't want me to do a Giant show with you, know that I'm a radio guy, and then start with that. Now I got to just bury this for an hour in my head and text you several questions about why you don't believe in debit cards. Thank you. I guess we can move on to what the Giants tight end room looks like now. Thank you.
No, you want to know what it is? It's mostly because if I have a debit card, then I feel like the money is just going to be free.
How do you... What do you do
with the credit card? With the credit card, I have to budget myself because I don't want that bill to be high at the end of the month.
So you just pay off the credit card?
Yeah, at the end of the month, or I am a person that does believe in cash.
I always carry cash with me, but I don't know, man. Having a credit card scares me more than a debit card. At least a debit card, I just monitor my account. I know what I have. Whatever. Honestly, this feels like Dawn Aponte should be running your accounts too, and just budgeting.
Please,
she's really good at budgets, Justin.
I'd be much better off if I had Dawn Aponte running my accounts. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and we're also filming the John Boy Media Scouting Combine. It's one of the best days of the year. You'll get to experience it the week before the draft over on the JM Football channel.
Nice.
Where we're going to be doing a week-long takeover of 3 different videos, 3 different events. I'm very excited about it and for it. You should be too. But Shaun, the Giants signed Darnell Mooney. We're going to talk about that among some other things.
Yeah. Who would be the Darnell Mooney at the combine of Jumbo? Who's going to run the fastest 40?
Ooh. Now, you see, the crazy thing is that I know Mooney ran a fast 40. I don't view him as this burner. He's not good after the catch.
Really?
I'll compare him to Dalton Feely. Short strides.
Feely?
Yeah, but you know what? Dalton Feely's taller. Short strides.
Okay. Mooney's smooth. Very smooth.
Dalton Feely's pretty smooth. So I think that's the best. I mean, you want to talk about smooth? I'm a very smooth athlete. So, yeah, Darnell Mooney. Giants signed Darnell Mooney. He's 28 years old. He's going to be 29 in October. He signed a 1-year deal up to $10 million. I don't think the details of the contract have been kind of revealed yet, and certainly, over the cap and what his guaranteed number, I don't think that's been revealed yet, but it's up to $10 million, Shaun. In 2025, it wasn't very good. He had 32 catches on 72 targets, 443 yards, and 1 touchdown. Nick Ercolano, the founder of BDGE, good friend of mine, also a Falcons fan, I texted him about Darnell Mooney and what he thinks, and this is what he said. Darnell Mooney had a bad 2025, struggled with injuries despite playing in 15 games, felt like he got the yips, and that's kind of backed up by a 6.9% career high drop rate for him. It's kind of crazy that 6.9%. It's a career high. It's a career high drop rate for Darnell Mooney, and sometimes we look at a 6.9% drop rate and we kind of sneeze at that, be like, that's it. He did say that he was really, really good in 2024, though. Really good 2024 season, which is very true, and thinks that he can be a complimentary number 2. And Shaun, I would have to agree. I think Darnell Mooney, as long as he stays healthy, doesn't have the yips. I mean, there was bad quarterback play for the majority of the year in Michael Penix, who was really not accurate at all, I think, especially when throwing towards the sideline. And I think that's where Darnell Mooney really does win and find a lot of success. It is being this outside wide receiver that is targeted near the sideline. And then I even watched a lot of his 2021 stuff when he was with Matt Nagy as well, which apparently Matt Nagy played a large role in getting Darnell Mooney here. So this is the first Nagy tie instead of just a Harbaugh tie. So what's your overall thoughts on Darnell Mooney?
Okay, so I have a lot of background on Darnell Mooney because I will tell you this is where being a degenerate at times on football Sundays comes into play. Mooney has been one of my most profitable players that I've individually bet player props on over the last 5 years. Typically, I know this is going to be very gambly, but just bear with me because it's going to tie into the actual football part of it. His over-unders are typically set at 23, 26 and a half and hit overs plenty on that. Because for him, all sometimes it takes is one big play. So the reason I brought up the speed and everything that went with it, like he is just a smooth runner. I mean, his speed is going to play. It did play. Last year, you brought up his low numbers and the battling injury part. So who I spoke to in Atlanta brought up a couple interesting things to me. Number one, he doesn't drop footballs, but why did his drop rate go up? It actually started at the end, the very, very end, those last couple weeks. He had a drop or two, whether they're actually statistically counted or not, of that 2024 season. And there is some belief, Justin, and I guess this has been the case with some of those other players, that Michael Penix, you talk about his accuracy, just the left-handed rotation of the football.
It is different.
It has caused some of these receivers to go, and Mooney might have had the yips with catching balls from Penix because of the rotation of the left-handed football. Now, that sounds absurd, but that is, I'm just giving you what kind of is a theory going on of what happened where suddenly his drop rate spiked, because other than that, he had been the antithesis, the Darius Slayton. Like he gets past the defender, he catches the football. Sometimes he can get, much like Calvin Austin, who we'll talk about in a little bit, not off the line of scrimmage. If you press him a little too much, like that can be an issue for Mooney. But overall, Justin, let me just say this. I don't know what the future has for Darius Slayton. It doesn't make much sense to cut him financially. The Giants could not operate in a world where Darius Slayton was the no doubt about it slam dunk answer as far as their number 2 outside receiver, especially not knowing how long it's going to take Malik Nabers to round into total form. And whether you like Slayton over Mooney, to me, is kind of irrelevant. I believe Mooney is the higher upside player, and regardless, it's at worst a healthier competition than otherwise would be for their outside receiver number 2.
I don't think you're making the signing if the Giants like Darius Slayton internally. Like this isn't happening, you know?
Right.
I understand it's a 1-year deal. I understand it's up to $10 million. It's not a 1-year fully guaranteed deal, but I don't think you're going after Darnell Mooney if there aren't legitimate questions about Darius Slayton, right? Especially
there has to be questions.
That's a lot of money. Like, let's just say Darnell Mooney has a year where I don't know what the terms of the contract are, but his 17-game average is 58 catches, 101 targets, 752 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think I would take that season from Darnell Mooney, getting over 750 yards in a world where Malik Nabers plays for the majority of the season and Darnell Mooney isn't being looked at this team's number 1 wide receiver option, right?
Right.
I would take that type of season. That's a perfectly fine, I think, number 2-ish type of season for a player on the New York Giants. Especially, we know the New York Giants, they have a lot of options that they're going to be throwing the ball to in the tight end room. They have Malik Nabers that's going to be eating up a lot of targets, and we know that they're going to be running the ball. They also have receiving options coming out of the backfield too. So, Darnell Mooney has 58 catches, 101 targets, 750 yards. I forget where the hell I was going.
It's something to do with Slayton and the idea of not liking Slayton and that upgrade at wide receiver too. You're bringing up these stats that he had. And I think maybe where you could be going is even those bad years for Mooney, some of which have been considered pretty good Slayton years for us when you look at the yardage statistics.
Yeah, there have been plenty of years where Slayton has 35 catches and 500-ish yards. So I like this move, Shaun. I like it.
And it doesn't, unlike Romeo Dobbs, I'm sorry to interrupt, it doesn't prohibit you from drafting a wide receiver in rounds 1 or 2 should that fall to you in that spot.
No, that's been my main ask of free agency.
Yeah.
That's been my main ask of free agency. And I had a couple conversations, debates with people on the internet this past weekend, and somebody was going after me over my take of, well, you said on the show that the Giants need to go into the draft not needing anything. And I think that was said partially, that point was pulled where I'm not asking for these dominant kick-ass players in the Giants to have these answers for the next 3 years for them to find these things, these players in free agency. What I wanted this free agency to be for the Giants was to find guys that can get by for you so you aren't forced to draft any specific position, because like in 2022 and 2023, where the Giants just, oh my God, well, we need a safety. We have no safety on the roster, so we need a safety. We have no tight end on the roster, so we need a tight end. We need to draft a tight end. Avoid that. And I think that they have done a very good job of that, besides arguably the 2 most important positions on the team in offensive line and defensive line. But we'll get to that. I do want to talk more about Mooney.
Okay.
So you mentioned this 2025. Injuries, playing with Michael Penix, getting a little bit of the yips, higher drop rate. Nothing on that Falcons team seemed to fully mesh and fully work. Okay.
No. Oddly enough, this felt like the year Kyle Pitts finally caught more passes than any other year, but I'm with you. Even they took a while to get Bijan Robinson going on the ground this year. Like, that offense was not at all what was planned to be this year.
He had a really, really good 2024, though, with 64 catches, 992 yards, 5 touchdowns. He was 8th in the NFL in yards per reception. That's one of the things that stood out to me.
Dude,
knowing the reputation of Darnell Mooney, even dating back to his 4 years in Chicago, I'm kind of thinking, kind of like the complimentary guy, more of a possession guy, and that is not the case at all. 2024, he was 21st in EPA per target, 23rd in yards per route run among wide receivers. I think that is perfect number 2. That's a perfect number 2 wide receiver type of year. I think that's even. I mean, you're talking about if you're top 25 in EPA per target and yards per route run, you're talking about some number 1 wide receivers being in that category too.
And think about it it's one thing to be the number 2 receiver. In this offense, he could do that, be the number 2 receiver, but also really be the number 3 pass catching threat when you consider what they just invested in Isaiah Likely too, which I think further enhances it. If you look at Mooney now as the 3rd pass catching option, not counting anybody out of the backfield in this offense, again, with that speed and the yards per reception, like you talked about, a lot of that is so outside too. You would think of somebody of his stature being more of, somebody that just thrives going down in the middle of the field. That sideline speed, all it takes is one number 2 corner on a team, of which they see plenty where they're mid-level number 2 corners. He could blow past these guys if they don't get that press on them, if they're not playing that style of defense. And Justin, as you know, with your big EPA per play and how to flip fields, you look at how many close games the Giants won. Or lost, I should say. And you talk about some of the stuff they've done, whether it's now flipping the field with Jordan Stout. Maybe they actually get reliable field goal kicking from Jason Sanders. But maybe they hit one bigger play in the pass game because instead of Darius Slayton dropping the ball down the field as he did so many times he got past the defender, it's Mooney catching a pass and going for 40 yards. Add that up twice a year. That could be the difference in 2 more wins a year. Yeah. The punting could be a difference in a win a year. These little things, the big plays that Mooney bring will all add to that big recipe and pot, which should be winning more close games.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned his ability to catch the deep ball. 3rd in deep catches in 2024. Number 1 catch rate from 20-plus yards down the field in 2024. The number 1 catch rate in the entire NFL. 9th in deep yards, 7th in yards per route run when going deep too. So that, again, yards per route run, I love that stat because I view it as another kind of how efficient are you, right? The amount of routes that you're running deep down the field. If you're sending a guy deep down the field so many times per game, but then he only comes down with 1 or 2 of those balls, I don't view that as a very efficient way to use a football player, right? But if the guy is converting on his opportunities and he's turning those opportunities into big plays or he's turning those opportunities into yards, that's awesome. And that's what Darnell Mooney did in 2024. He was 17th overall in yards per route run when targeting the intermediate part of the field too. That's also what I got excited about too, Shaun. It wasn't just it wasn't just the deep part of the field. And you would think that with the player of his stature, that he would be a better quick game target and a better guy in the short part of the field. Yeah. The numbers really aren't all that there for Darnell Mooney in the short part of the field. This is going to be an outside wide receiver that's going to challenge in the intermediate and deep part of the field when he is at his best. So 2024, 17th in yards per route run when targeted in the intermediate part of the field. So that was kind of his Falcons tenure. 2025, not that good. A lot of kind of instability things happening in 2025 with the Falcons. 2024, really damn good.
Yeah, now, Shaun, and you mentioned the Chicago stuff with Nagy, too, where he had the 1,000-yard season.
This is what I want to talk about now.
Okay.
His career year in 2021. Believe Nagy was fired after the 2021 season. So he did spend 2 more years in Chicago without Nagy. But his rookie year in 2020 and then his second year in 2021, where honestly, this is where he has his career year. He has 81 catches, most amount of catches, most amount of targets at 140, most amount of yards at 1,055. 13 yards per reception, which is 3rd best and 4th best in his career.
I think that was just
touchdowns as well.
Was that Justin Fields at that point? I think
that was Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, and Nick Foles.
Crazy.
I think all three of them, Shaun.
Crazy.
I am pretty sure that was Matt Nagy's final year, correct?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Because he got the extra year than they thought he was going to get.
Yeah. Let me make sure.
Hold on. What?
You make sure. You
know what's crazy? 2021 to 2026 will feel like the same year now. It's crazy. Let me look at that.
Yeah, I'm gonna now I want to look it up.
Right? These years since the pandemic all feel like the same year.
2021 was his last year. Yes.
Yeah.
Good on me. So I went back and I watched like a lot of Darnell Mooney's like most successful plays in 2021 with Matt Nagy. And I wanted to see if there were any kind of common trends that I saw and I found. They found a ton of success, Shaun, running deep crossers. Like so often he would be either like in the slot or especially on the outside. And then you would have a quarterback drop back, kind of take a deeper set and a deeper drop back, and then find Darnell Mooney running a deep crosser either in the intermediate part of the field or it would get 20-plus yards down the field. Deep crossers, out routes by the sideline, and this is where I feel like he can really thrive on the sideline. And I know this is back in 2021, but I'm looking at Matt Nagy was the play caller in Chicago. He's going to be the play caller here, right? Out routes, sideline hitches, huge. And that was, I'll give him a lot of credit too, where there were plenty of times, and I think this is even going back to even this year, 2025. I saw some film people cutting up Darnell Mooney, running some hitches and running some stuff by the sideline. That's a big timing play with your quarterback, right? Where if somebody's in press and you're kind of beating them and then you come to the outside, or even if somebody's giving you cushion and you're running a 12-yard hitch, I mean, that ball's got to come out as soon as you're coming out of that break. And if the ball's late, then it's either an interception or it could be an incomplete pass, or it's not a successful play if it's not a timing play. He got that timing down with 3 different quarterbacks in Chicago in 2021. And even this year, I saw people clipping up, man, Darnell Mooney is still successfully running those hitches on the sideline, but his quarterback is missing him. So deep crossers, out routes, sideline hitches led to a career year in 2021 with Mooney, 81 catches, 1,055 yards. That's how Matt Nagy even used him. And I can imagine, like, even if Mooney doesn't have that same juice running with the goal balls and posts and all that, right? I could see those 3 routes and those 3 plays, especially living by the sideline, if there's still that little bit of craftiness in him, that is where he can thrive and make his money with the New York Giants, for sure.
And he does have great body control near the sideline as well, which is important. And this is like the antithesis of Jalen Hyatt, where it's not just about a go. You can run the multiple routes like you brought up. So, I think that's there. I'm interested to see the way Nagy will use them. I know we're going to get into kind of matchups and schemes all over the place with the kind of different looks the Giants can have. But the bottom line is this: on a team that feels like it spent the first couple days emphasizing the run with adding Patrick Ricard and Isaiah Likely and kind of his mismatches everywhere, this is the kind of player the Giants needed before the draft to make sure that they could play that wide receiver 2 position on the outside the way they need to in a Matt Nagy offense.
Yeah, in 2021, he was 23rd in yards per route run overall. I think that's really impressive considering that he wasn't really on a good team. And all the different quarterbacks.
This would be the most stable quarterback situation he's had.
Intermediate part of the field, Mooney was 12th in yards per route run, and the deep part of the field, Mooney was 22nd in yards per route run. In that 2021 Chicago team that won 6 games. I really am, like, honestly, the area of the field that I am most excited about Darnell Mooney is the intermediate part of the field, 10 to 19 yards. Because I think the league now is doing such a good job of shutting down the big play. And I inevitably think that the Giants, like, they have the potential with this offense and the personnel that they have that is so run heavy and so big. I think this offense does have the very, very good potential of being a highly explosive unit because teams will probably want to stop that first. Or if teams really want to, if they're desperate to stop the explosive play, then the Giants will be able to do the smash mouth stuff that we all envision and all want them to do, right? So, I mean, you hope that the way that this team is being designed, it's a win-win, right? It's a pick your poison. Do you want to stop the explosive play or do you want to stop the run? And whichever one you choose to do, hopefully the other thing will work for the Giants.
Yes.
But I am excited for the intermediate part of the field because, like I said, if there are going to be teams that are just going to, no matter what, we're going to stop the big play. So then that's where hopefully, like, Malik Nabers was so good his rookie year in the intermediate part of the field, even with really bad quarterbacks, like one of the best receivers in the NFL already in that 10 to 19 yard range. Darnell Mooney was so good. And the years like pre-Nabers, the Dable Kafka years pre-Malik Nabers, they were so awful in the 10 to 19 yard range. They were just there was no such thing as a consistent 10 to 19 yard play in this offense. So that is where I hope that Darnell Mooney will really make his money. Now, he's not a 50. I think you mentioned this. He's not a 50-50 ball. He's not going to go up and get a 50-50 ball. I don't think he's a stranger to catching balls in traffic when somebody is maybe near him.
No, but he's also not – he's not going to bounce off the turf like Wan'Dale Robinson.
No.
Like a pinball.
I do not think he is a good yak guy. I don't.
I would agree. It has to do with him getting the space on D-backs to begin with. That's where he gets his yardage. I agree.
Yes. So I think he is perfect as a complimentary number 2. That is where if all this goes right, if he's healthy, if he's contributing on the outside, I think Darnell Mooney is the perfect complementary wide receiver for this team. If this all goes right, and if he's good, if his mind's right, if his body's right, and all that kind of stuff. I do like that. I mean, apparently him and Matt Nagy have kind of stayed close as the 2 years have kind of gone by. I do like that.
I do as well. Over under 2.5 100-yard receiving games for Mooney.
Oh, I like this better than talking about season numbers, because season numbers is a lot easier. 100-yard games. You said 2.5.
I'm going to make it 2.5 because I'm going to think they're going to run the ball a lot. Nabers, obviously, you would expect to be the number 1. I'm giving likely the fact that he's not going to be behind a Mark Andrews here, the benefit of the doubt, and thinking that his numbers are probably going to increase in this offense. And then you have the various other stuff the Giants will do with all the different kind of matchups. So I think I'm being fair. 100-yard games are not daddy. I mean, think about how many Wan'Dale had.
Yeah, he had 4 in 2021. Darnell Mooney with Matt Nagy.
Yeah. And I'm setting number 2.5. I don't think he had any last year.
No, I would say no. And then he had 2. He had 2 in 2024.
He did. And I'm giving him the bump on best quarterback play he's played with. That's why I'm putting the number 2.5.
I'm going to go under.
I probably would too. But I think it's a fun bet.
Doesn't mean that he can't contribute and have a go. I mean, I just mentioned he had 2 100-yard games in 2024. Now, one of them was 96. I sold like an 88 in there, so we got close.
Those don't count, but the point is he could have a couple of those.
Right. So I think it obviously depends on when are we seeing Malik Nabers.
Yeah. Of course. Or do they take a wide receiver in rounds 1 or 2 as well?
Right. Okay, Shaun, I want to talk to you about hollow socks before we keep going and move on to our next segment. Today's episode is sponsored by Hollow Socks. Now, let me ask you something. Why do we spend good money on great shoes and then throw on the cheapest socks we can find? It literally makes no sense. And I used to do that all the time. And I mean, even recently, I've been getting so damn cheap and I will even call it lazy, not even cheap. I feel like I'm walking around with holes in my socks in New York City, which is gross. And the result was always the same. I'm walking around with holes in my socks, cold feet in the morning, sweaty feet halfway through the day when it gets hot and I start schwitzing, and somehow itchy by the time you get home. Then I tried hollow socks, and now I actually understand why people care about good socks. They're made from premium alpaca fiber. I read that word right. I had trouble with that last time, which is unbelievably soft. But the bigger thing is how they regulate temperature. They keep your feet warm when it's cold, breathable when it turns up, and then they manage moisture so your feet stay dry instead of sweating. For a limited time only, Hollow Socks is having a buy 2, get 2 free sale. Head to hollowsocks.com today to check it out. That's hollowsocks.com for up to 50% off your order. And after your purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. And you can support our show and tell them that we sent you over there. Thank you to Hollow Socks. Okay, now, Shaun, we are bringing back everyone's favorite segment that we've only done once on this show, but it's going to become more of a regular in the offseason. You do it all the time on WFAN. We are bringing back Cinco De Fivo.
We are. Now, it should be noted, the important thing to note here is now, because of the new time slot, it's Cinco de Luncho and Evan and Tiki, but I like, for the sake of talking Giants, keeping it as the original Cinco de Fivo.
I like that too. And this Cinco de Fivo is presented by the Fanatics Sportsbook.
Ready?
Tell us what we're doing today.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Thanks to Fanatics Sportsbook. We are giving you in order, 5 best post day one moves the Giants have had in free agency. Okay? So that means no Illuminor. That means no Edmonds, no Isaiah Likely. What the Giants have done since, in order, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to give you my reasoning on why they're
no Jordan Stout. I know you love that.
Oh, that's true. That was the day one as well. That would have
been number 1 if he was day 2.
It is. So you ready? Ready to take this away?
Yeah.
All right. Number 5. What?
Wait, do it again, because I was going to do it, but you do it.
Number 5. You like it? All right. Number 5 for me is Jason Pinnock. Went under the radar here this week. Here's why I like it. Now, I don't like the idea of signing a 4th safety and telling you this is ultra important. To me, this list isn't necessarily about importance. It's just more of why I like it. We're a couple years removed, Justin, from Jason Pinnock being an unquestioned number 2 safety on the New York Giants. And he had his warts, of which there were plenty, but he wasn't totally abysmal at times and, had his ability to make plays, could certainly hit and whatever. But the point is this. Here's why I like it. New regime. He goes out to San Francisco last year, comes back. He's being tasked with basically being the 4th safety on this team. They added Darius Washington, who's going to focus on special teams. But maybe there are times in certain sets or Newbin gets hurt where you'd rather Pinnock step up because you don't want Washington, getting killed with his special team snaps. Either way, a guy who used to be our number 2 safety coming back for no money to at worst be the number 4 safety on the Giants. That is the kind of signing what we talked about when Harbaugh was here, of getting veterans to play for little to no money, but be adequate if injuries kind of creep up on you. And we've lived with Pinnock. You could totally live with him through injuries at a starting safety spot, and you paid him nothing to be the 4th safety on the team. So that's number 5 for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think our Darius Washington is right now the number 3 safety. So, like you said, and I mean, I do feel comfortable if he's not hurt and if he plays like he did in 2024. I mean, our Darius Washington, there may get to a point where he challenges to be a starter.
I agree.
From a Tyler Newbin. If he plays like he did in 2024 and that still fits his style and his his overall play, that could be a conversation for another day. Is Jason Pinnock better than Dane Belton as a safety?
They do different things well. So that's a difficult question.
I think he is.
Okay. He might be better. The ball finds Belton in terms of turnovers. And I'm going to live and die with that one hit he had versus Denver on 4th down, probably for the rest of my life, and trust. But Pinnock, I think, is overall probably the better tackler hitter and probably just overall better in coverage.
Yeah, I would say that he is the better safety. And you're talking about Dane Belton, who originally was your number 3. And now you're talking about, okay, well, our Darius Washington could be a Dane Belton replacement. Jason Pinnock could be a Dane Belton replacement. And, your number 4 safety, you feel better about the teams than the team's number 3 last year. So that I'm really glad I did not have that down in my notes, and that did happen. And I'm very glad that you brought that up. I think that's a very good underrated number 5. Interested to see how Pinnock fits in a system, even though he did okay with Shane Bowen. But
yes,
he was better under Wink because I think Wink was more or less just like, hey, be aggressive and just fly here and fly there and fly everywhere.
You know what? Damn, now I want to look this up. Was Pinnock with the Jets when Denard Wilson was there?
It's a good question.
Denard Wilson was the Jets defensive back coach in 2017-2018, then was the passing game coordinator and defensive backs coach combo 2019-2020.
So let me look this up.
Okay.
Jason Pinnock in 2021 was with the Jets.
Damn it. So he missed them by a year. That just dawned on me as we were doing that. I'm like, wait, does he have a Denard Wilson tie? And that would have made sense.
Good thought.
All right. Well, that's why we do this live. Okay.
I didn't realize that Jason Pinnock had 41 tackles last year. I thought it was.
Oh. Well, San Francisco got ravaged by injuries. He had to play a lot in some of those games late.
Because he played at 46% of the team snaps.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, I think they had 2 D-back injuries early. The amount of times the Niners would be on, I'd be like, Pinnock's playing? It made me feel better about Jason Pinnock being a John Elway. That's my point. Now he's the number 4 safety in the Giants. Yeah. All right, number 4. This is going to feel like old news now when I say this, but it was not a day one. I just simply think re-signing Micah Mcfadden for a lot of the same reasons I had. Doesn't prohibit you from taking Sonny Styles at all. You can live with Micah Mcfadden on downs 1 and 2 being your starting inside linebacker number 2 if the draft doesn't fall the way you want it to fall, if nothing else materializes here in free agency. And you're going to get a hungry dude who feels like he missed out on his contract year already when he got hurt last year in week 1. And he can be a tackling machine at times, sometimes not always consistent. But Micah Mcfadden moved number 4 for me.
Okay.
All right.
I like it.
All right, here we go. Number 3. This one's for Justin. It's Patrick Ricard. We spent a lot of time on this last week. Obviously, just brings the toughness. Brian Baldinger got me even more fired up than Justin did, talking about Ricard and the toughness and, the hitting the gaps. And I'm just saying, when Baldy does it in a certain Baldy way, because he lives for that fullback crap, but we did a lot on that. Now let's get to where I think the meat and the potatoes come. Number 2. My number 2 post day 1 free agency move I like the most. We haven't touched on it yet, and that's Calvin Austin coming over here from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Calvin Austin, who obviously killed the New York Giants on that Monday night game 2 years ago. He ends John Harbaugh's reign as head coach of Baltimore after he scores that winning touchdown for Pittsburgh on that Sunday night. Calvin Austin is not tough like Wan'Dale Robinson in terms of, again, I think that's Wan'Dale's biggest attribute in the slot is how much he could take a punishing. But Calvin Austin could fly. And I think much like what we just talked about with Mooney, I think Calvin Austin has been a victim of bad quarterback play in Pittsburgh and bad scheme by Arthur Smith last year, who I thought Aaron Rodgers came in and Aaron Rodgers plays favorites anyway. And then Arthur Smith with everything he's doing with 3 tight ends. Now, Giants may run plenty of that, which may hurt Calvin Austin statistically. But I think Jackson Dart can get the most out of Calvin Austin when he's in the slot, when you see what he did with Wan'Dale last year. And I think Calvin Austin will provide you with more vertical plays that Wan'Dale Robinson did. And whatever happens with Gunnar Olszewski is going to happen. Calvin Austin, as we saw, and he could flip a game with a big punt return too. So that's number 2 for me. I love this Calvin Austin move for the Giants.
Last 2 years, he's played 53% of the snaps in games that he's active for and games that he's playing. 53% of the snaps. Man, I am so fascinated to see just how, we haven't even had the draft yet. So then you're talking about them adding possibly another weapon in the draft and another player to the equation here.
Dude, it's different pieces, but they have a theme here. It's either big and smash mouth or flat out speed.
I am so fascinated to see how this is going to shake out. A little spoiler alert to what we're going to talk about after this, but just from a personnel standpoint and how they choose to roll these guys out, because is Isaiah Likely getting 60% of the snaps? Is Darnell Mooney? Darnell Mooney in his career has gotten 80% plus, and then you include is Darius Slayton just really truly in the doghouse, kind of like he was to start 2022, and Theo Johnson and Malik Nabers is healthy, and then of course he's getting 90% of the snaps.
Right.
There's a lot of different options.
Whatever
here.
they do with that draft pick, if it's not defense, it could be Jeremiah Love, it could be a receiver, and then if it's Love, then did they get him and Scadaboo on the field at the same time too? I know we don't want to have that argument right now. It's not even an argument. I'm just saying when you think of matchups and the amount of players that the Giants can go to in this offense, it's exciting.
Yeah, that is what I'm dreaming about it now. But that is what I'm really going to spend all summer continuing to think about. Is I already started in my phone the oh crap formation that I laid out on Twitter, where it was Chris Manhertz, Ricard, and Isaiah Likely in the backfield with Dart and Scadaboo, because that's what defenses are going to start to say when they see teams line up this But it's just so unpredictable. There's no longer all right, well, you know what this team's 11 personnel is going to be, and that's it, man.
Yep.
How much could they actually do out of that 11? Okay, you could bunch guys together, but there are just so many different ways. And Calvin Austin is one of those guys that's he's preferably in the slot, but you can put him on the Steelers put him on the outside. You absolutely can. The Steelers ran a lot of the heavier tight end formations themselves, and they had to put Calvin Austin out there. Sometimes that's an outside wide receiver, because that's what you need to do when you go under center and then run heavy, right, with those big formations. And then they would throw out of them, and then there would be Calvin Austin beating guys on the outside with some quick and little sneaky moves at the release. So Calvin Austin probably, I would say Darnell Mooney is going to have more of an impact. Isaiah Likely, definitely more of an impact. I think Ricard is going to have more of an impact on the offense as a whole than Calvin Austin, and that may just be a flat out bad take, but they have so many options of guys that can go in the slot. Nabers being one of them. Mooney can go in the slot. Likely can go in the slot.
Nabers
Johnson can go in the slot. I really wonder what's going to be the role for these guys, and especially like Calvin Austin.
Yeah. And so I'll just go number one for me is somebody we already broke down. I think Mooney is the number one post day one signing. This one got me giddy Saturday. I had started to lean negative as we talked about. I felt good back to back with Austin and Mooney to me at the wide receiver room. And I think I'll end with this point before you get to all the matchups. I know this is not original. It has been all over Twitter and all over X, but it is true. When you factor in the money and the production the Giants got from Wan'Dale Robinson and understand what he just got paid by the Tennessee Titans, the fact that combined Isaiah Likely, Calvin Austin, and Darnell Mooney will cost less than Wan'Dale Robinson is costing for the 2026 season, way less. That to me is just good business in terms of building a better offense for the New York Giants here.
What was the number combined for all three? $48.5 million combined, all three of the values of their contracts.
Yeah.
And then Wan'Dale got $73 million, the value of his total contract.
Of course.
So,
yeah. The total contract. Exactly.
I got one big
omission.
Big quarrel.
Okay. What do you got?
Dude, Greg Newsome.
Okay, in case you couldn't tell last week.
I know, but for you to have Micah McFadden over Greg Newsome?
Oh, hold on now. This is where you're going to turn into Evan Roberts on me. Remember the point of the list. I need to remind everyone, because this is what happens. Social media gets a hold of things, and this is what happens. People lose sight of the original thought. It was my favorite post-day one signings. Now, my favorite, the interpretation is either I think they're going to be really awesome for this team, or I just simply love the value. Jason Pinnock is probably not, I would hope, going to be a bigger factor and a better player for this team than Greg Newsome. But for a fourth safety that used to be a number two safety paying him nothing, I really like that signing. My Newsome problem here and why he cannot be in my top five is, and I'm trying to be open-minded. I've gone and watched more tape post our last Talking Giants talk to. I just don't think he's very good. I understand the upside. I understand the idea maybe you get the best out of him for 1 year and then don't sign him. And I understand the idea that, you know what, you don't necessarily have to take a corner. You hope you can get by for a year. Denard Wilson coach up. I get all of that. I just would be much more comfortable if he was the number 3 outside corner on this team. And it's the most worrisome signing the Giants have made for me, because I feel like they don't believe corner needs as big an upgrade as it does. That's my word.
Out of all of the names that they have brought in, maybe you can argue Darnell Mooney has had more NFL success, right?
Okay.
I would argue
Hold on. That's not true. You mean like Ricard and Stout are Pro Bowlers?
Let's talk about let's talk about the big time positions, right?
Okay. Oh, so now Mr. I want a Patrick Ricard jerseys wants to go to big time positions.
Hush. This is
all right.
I'm fitting my narrative here, okay?
Okay. Go spin your yarn.
I think Greg Newsome, out of the guys that play 80% of the snaps, right? 80+% of the snaps. Punter and fullback aren't playing 80% of the snaps. Are they important? Yes. Are they valuable? Yes, especially if they're that good. I think Greg Newsome, out of all the guys that they've brought in, has had the most NFL, the caliber and the quality of player that you're regarded as. I think Greg Newsome at one point was the best highly regarded player that they've brought in, even more than Darnell Mooney.
Okay, but does that say more about the Giants free agency than it does the players? Because they also haven't made a big splash signing, really.
I think my overall point is I think we're sleeping on the ceiling of what Greg Newsome maybe can be.
All right. I am not denying that for a former first-round pick that has played on that Cleveland Brown defense and clearly, whether it was mentally, physically, went in the tank the moment he got moved from the slot and kind of got jerked around in Cleveland. I get all that. But at some point, you just kind of are what you are. It doesn't mean he can't have a change of scenery, burst for a good year, and prove himself, don't get paid. And I would gladly take that. But my gut and my lean would be that you're probably not getting a great Greg Newsome on a team where I like Paulson and Debo. If you're going to have the, let's say 18th to 20th best number one corner in the NFL, let's just be gracious and call Paulson and Debo that. I can't have that question mark at cornerback 2. I need a higher. I don't want to call it a floor because I think Greg Newsome has a fine floor, but I just need.
But we've had way lower in the past. Like we've had,
but that's
really,
the problem.
Really low.
I know we have.
And we've gotten by with guys that we found off the street, and we've gotten by before.
Okay.
This is a guy that they invested in for 1 year, a former first-round pick that has like legitimate NFL success playing opposite of Paulson Adebo, who I still believe in. Like,
what if Adebo gets hurt again? Now you're talking about Deontay Banks and Greg Newsome.
But that's not Greg Newsome's problem. That's not Greg Newsome's problem.
But I want Greg Newsome to be in the Deontay Banks role is what I'm saying. The Giants could do better at corner.
That's not going to happen.
But I'm not asking you for Darrelle Revis. Like, Awuzie would have been a fine signing. Shaun Wright, who had the 5 picks for the Bears last year, that would have been a better signing. The Giants didn't have to break the bank at the cornerback room. It felt like they really thought they were getting Cordell Flott back. And then this was their pivot because Jamel Dean went off the board quickly too. And I don't mind them not overspending. I don't mind them throwing a 1-year flyer on Newsome. But they also have to be real to ourselves and go, like everything you talked about at the beginning, this is the most uncomfortable and tedious I will be if they don't take a corner in the draft with a position likely leaving the draft. He's not my top 5. I'm sorry. This is good. Okay. Listen, Justin, you and I have done enough shows. God knows we've agreed on plenty. And God knows we've laughed at each other plenty. I am not a Greg Newsome guy. And I've tried to be open-minded post that.
Okay.
Post you trying to convince me.
Okay. That was Cinco De Fivo. I like that. That was good.
I did. It led to a fight about somebody who wasn't in Cinco. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of debating.
That is Cinco De Fivo and is brought to you by the Fanatics Sportsbook. That segment brought to you by, and this episode is brought to you by Fanatics. You guys may have heard, but we are excited to announce our partnership with the Fanatics Sportsbook. You probably know Fanatics for their merch and apparel, but now Fanatics Sportsbook is changing the game for sports betting. Football season might be over, but the action doesn't stop there. There's plenty to get in on all year long with nonstop opportunities to jump in, make every game matter. Every time you place a bet, you're earning FanCash up to 10% back on your bets, win or lose. If you want to know what FanCash is, it's Fanatics' signature currency. Use it on profit boosts, exclusive experiences, and official team gear, Fanatics.com, and more. And Fridays, they hit different. Every Friday is FanCash Friday, which means FanCash drops a free game to play right inside the app where you can score up to $10,000 with FanCash. Even better, 1 in every 4 players wins FanCash. Bet, earn, and win with Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here. Download the Fanatics Sportsbook app today and use code JOHNBOY. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app for details. Thank you, Fanatics. Thank you. All right. So now we get to, I don't really have much of a plan to talk about what I'm going to talk about right now. Feels like a really good mailbag question. We are going to start doing some mailbags again. So if you really want to tickle my fancy, be like, Justin, lay out some kick-ass formations and lay out some kick-ass personnel grouping frequencies that the Giants are going to roll out this year. Ask that in a mailbag question, and I will answer it. But, Shaun, I'm starting to think about, and this happened after Mooney. I mean, I was doing it even before Mooney, but even they add Mooney, and it's like, oh, that's another guy that is versatile. And, you know, of course you want him out by the sideline and playing on the outside, but he can play in the slot too. It's not impossible. Has the body type for it. You're muted. What happened to you?
Sorry, I heard a kid scream. Says, I wanted to interrupt you real quick and tell you that I'm going to have your back here. I know Justin was thinking about this after they signed Mooney, because when they signed Mooney, I was at home and I turned to my wife and I said, the Giants just made a big signing. Justin is going to text me within the next 2 hours. I know him. And then you proceeded to text me 90 minutes later with all these thoughts on what you're going to talk about right now. So I know You're right away.
Oh, great. I thought you were going to be afraid that I was going to text you. Oh my God, the Giants signed Darnell Mooney. We need to go live. I'm not that.
That's not why. I said I know the way Justin's mind is working. He's going to start thinking about the offense now.
I know I could be bad sometimes, but we got to go. We got to do it.
No. I laughed. I would have been ready, but no, I know.
So, starting to think of all the different possibilities on how the Giants can line up from a personnel standpoint. It is so fun to come up with these various looks. Nabers is an inside-outside player. Calvin Austin can be. So can Mooney. Isaiah Likely is literally the king of versatility, where you could put him in line. Sure, you don't want to ask him to block all that much from in line. You can put him in the backfield. He can be this lead blocker. He should be used as a lead blocker a ton. I mean, he should be put in line and also used as a lead blocker, going from one side of the formation to the next as kind of like this pulling lead blocker. Of course, he lines up in the slot a ton as well, and out wide, he can do that. Theo lines up in line, and he can line up out wide as well. Did it a ton this past year, where sometimes the Giants, the only reliable wide receiver that they have is Darius Slayton. Well, I should reword that. The only wide receiver that with somewhat of a pulse, that even if he isn't very reliable, is Darius Slayton, especially before Hodgins comes in here. So then they have to put Theo Johnson out wide at certain times. You have Patrick Ricard, who is a fullback, but then has been used under Todd Monken as this inline tight end as well. There's so many different ways that these guys could possibly line up. It has the potential to be so hard to predict, where just because you see a certain group in a huddle, Shaun, there will still be zero clue for a defense on where they're going to line up. So then it will be so damn difficult to try and match personnel, at least in my opinion.
It will.
Patrick Ricard, I think, Patrick Ricard may just be the telltale sign of, if he's in there, 75% of the time it's going to be a run play, because that's what it was in Baltimore. And that's the only thing that maybe I would get a little bit more unpredictable running out of that, and
make your 25% count.
Yes, with big plays,
yep.
Right? And leaving him in as that sixth blocker.
Yep.
Leaving in more blockers allows more time for plays to develop. Maybe even you're talking about running screens out of looks where Patrick Ricard is on the field, and that he could be a lead blocker, which we know he's very good out in space. I mean, I could sit here for the next 60 minutes and start naming you different possibilities of what they could do. And Shaun, it's getting me real freaking excited for
moist?
What they can do.
We getting moist here?
I don't do that.
You don't do that?
I don't get moist.
Well, in a theoretical world where Justin gets moist, he gets moist hair. No, dude, I'm with you. What's crazy to think about is comparing what we just watched the last couple of years. And I know that the quarterback play and stuff has changed. But when the Giants were running that offense where it felt like it was 11 personnel. What was that? The end of Ben McAdoo, where it felt like it was 11 personnel constantly.
Every play. And it was a little bit like that with Dable too, 65% of the time too,
Yeah, and then you get to the points last year when they run out of wide receivers where you're making that run with Theo Johnson and Bellinger, where it felt like 80% of the snaps they were in 12 personnel or whatever. What's crazy about what you're talking about is I don't think that when you're watching tape on the Giants, they are going to be the same week to week in terms of how much usage they're doing depending on the matchup. And I just think in terms of a preparation to play the Giants standpoint, it was in the past, when I just kind of give reference to those couple of years, very easy to prepare for Giants offensive football. You knew that, okay, these two tight ends are going to be on the field however percentage of the time. Like, you knew the three wide receivers. I don't think you could predict week to week if you're just watching film on the Giants that they're going to run it back with the same thing. And I think that's what is going to make them probably the scariest in terms of like what this offense can be capable of. So just look, you talk about the actual what they can do. How about when they do it? What weeks they do certain things? I think over the course of a season, this is just going to look entirely different. And I think that's what's going to make them dangerous.
Yeah. All right. So 3rd and 1. This is the exercise I wanted to do with you.
Okay.
We don't
do exercise. Okay.
No, we don't. Not on this show. So today is the John Boy Media Scouting Combine. I'm going to run a 40-yard dash. I say how I prepare for this John Boy Media Scouting Combine, how I prepare for it each year is the previous year's combine. So the 40 that I'm running today for the 2026 combine is how I'm preparing for the 2027 combine.
That's a good way to look at it.
3rd and 1.
Okay.
What personnel? Who are you putting out there? So obviously you have your 5 linemen, right?
Yeah,
and you have Jackson Dart.
Ricard and Scadaboo, likely Theo, Nabers. And I'm missing one.
5 more. That's your 5 more. Nope, you got everybody.
You got it.
You're even like you're forgetting like a Chris Manhurns.
I know. With good reason, because I'm putting Ricard on the field. I'm gonna play off the fact that, are we sure Isaiah Likely is going out for a pass? Is he going to be the extra blocker? Right. Yeah, I mean, I could even run Jackson Dart there, where it's both Scadaboo and Patrick Ricard, with kind of
likely like lead blocking. Right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. Or just, and out of all of this, the guy you least expect is Theo Johnson leaking out into the end zone for the 1-yard touchdown pass. Like, there's a million things you could do out of that formation. I'm just very against taking Malik Nabers off the field at all times. I think he should always be accounted for.
3rd and 7.
Ooh. 3rd and 7. I'm going to want speed out there, but with the ability to dump it off if I can. I'm going to go Tyrone Tracy offset. And I want Likely, Nabers, Austin, and Mooney on the field.
Okay, so then Likely would be in line.
Yep.
And then you're going to put Calvin Austin in the slot.
Yep.
Mooney and Nabers on the outside.
Yep. And I want Tracy as the receiving back on a 3rd and 7.
Okay. Like, dude, then I think about, well, what if you put... How is it going to look when Malik Nabers is in the slot? That's my question, because Malik Nabers should be in the slot. He's so good at 2024. He is so damn good coming out of the slot, and I think he is too much of an advantage. Dude, even physically, he's not huge, but he is a specimen. And I'm sure you've been close to him once or twice.
Yes, no, yes, we had him on set last training camp. Sat right in front of us. No, he's
a big dude. You know,
he's big. No, his feet are big too. Here's what I would say too. I think
they say that's big feet, big hands.
The thing about putting Nabers in the slot, like as we're working through all these matchups, you mentioned Darius Slayton earlier. I don't even have to put Darius Slayton on the field. Like if I really wanted to bury Darius Slayton, that's where the inside-outside versatility of Calvin Austin comes in. Him and Mooney could just be flyers on the outside with Nabers on the inside. Then what the hell are you doing there? You have 2 guys speed burning. Where's Nabers going? You could split Likely out wide if you really, really wanted to get nuts and do something like that.
That would be a little nuts.
I'm just saying, neighbor, you could do a lot of kooky formations. It doesn't mean he's going to fly down the field on a sprint there on a 3rd and 9. But honestly, I would just still work with Austin and Mooney in this case. I would put both of those guys on the outside.
You could have Nabers in the slot in a 12 personnel look, which is under center too. Yeah. Or if you want to put Mooney on the outside, Nabers is kind of like in the slot.
Yeah.
Closest in line. And then you have a 12 personnel look. It's again, like the possibilities are endless.
And let's not, as much as I was down on him, let's not pretend Theo Johnson can't make plays. He just was inconsistent with his hands.
Just catch the damn.
I know. No, I'm with you. But it's crazy to think Theo Johnson's basically their number 2 weapon besides Wandell last year. And as we're mentioning all these formations, it's like, when are we getting him involved?
Yeah. And he does have to get better after the catch too. So the catching the damn ball isn't Theo Johnson's only thing, but it would certainly help. Mm-hmm. And don't drop the ball. Drop the ball on 1st down. Stop dropping the ball for touchdowns and on a 3rd and 6 for a 1st down conversion.
Yep.
If you're going to drop the ball. All right, Shaun. How about we just don't do it at all? One more ad. We got to talk about Hims, because today's episode is sponsored by Hims. ED is more common than you think and simpler to treat than ever. Through Hims, you can connect online with the licensed provider to access personalized treatment options discreetly and on your terms. You shouldn't have to go to your way to feel like yourself, and Hims brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access. With 100% online access to personalized treatments that put your goals first. This isn't a one-size-fits-all care that forgets you in the waiting room. It's your health and goals put first with real medical providers, making sure you get what you need to get results. To get simple online access to personalized affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/giants. That's hims.com/giants for your free online visit. Hims.com/giants. Feature products include combat the drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information. Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. This is my life before Hims. This is my life after Hims. For you audio people, I have a Slinky.
A Slinky. Slinky Dog Dash. Good ride at Disney.
Can they please? I want to stop thinking about it. And I want people to stop telling me that I'm bitching and moaning and complaining and you can't do it all in one offseason. Well, guess what? They literally can do everything that I'm asking if they simply just sign a depth interior defensive lineman, and then like even at this point, even if it's Greg Van Roten, which I wouldn't like. All right, let's just run it back with the same offensive line. I wouldn't love it, but it also wasn't bad. I do feel like they got relatively really healthy injury wise with their offensive lines over the last 2 years, and that's with Andrew. So why I say that they got healthy injury wise, Shaun?
You're accounting for Andrew Thomas's injuries anyway.
Yes, because usually when Andrew Thomas is hurt, nobody else is hurt.
Right. And I'm fine with Stinney backing up at guard. And obviously whatever happens here with Marcus Bowe, does he work on the inside at all? Right. So that could help your depth as well. But
I want to get to a point where I just like, you know what? They did do everything I asked. You know what? They did do everything. Because if they were leaving free agency without an outside bound, if they just didn't sign Darnell Mooney, right, and they only have Calvin Austin, I'm not leaving free agency being like, I'm really sweating outside wide receiver. I know a lot of people would. That wouldn't be me.
Slayton, right? Exactly.
That wouldn't be me. Same thing with safety. I'd be sweating linebacker if they only had Tremaine Edmonds, but they literally could have a perfect, quiet, sneaky good free agency if they acknowledge interior D-line, get fucking Calais Campbell in here, and then
Calais Campbell makes sense.
Wyatt Teller or Greg Van Roten.
I'm kind of even starting to buy into, give me Mekhi Becton. I'd settle for that. It's better than Falele.
No.
Okay. All right. You have your Newsome, I'll have my Becton. How about that?
I do want to get bigger.
Hence to him, Zed.
I do want to get clip that part and only that part. Talking Giants out of context. Shaun, I want to stop asking for it in my head and on the internet, and then people get mad at me, and then people get mad at us when we say that they need to do this. Like, it's very important. Like, these are two important positions to acknowledge.
Right. It's okay to acknowledge that and not just say that everything that we've done so far this offseason is the perfect thing because Dawn Aponte and John Harbaugh are here. It's totally okay to acknowledge that. And also, you know why else I want them to do it sooner rather than later? I want to start with a month left to turn my focus onto knowing that they don't have a need in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. I would also like that.
They have needs. Like, don't get me wrong.
No, right. But like, but we don't want a John Michael Schmidt center need in round 2 this year because you haven't signed a right guard. Correct.
Like, oh my God, we need to take this position because we physically have nobody else there. That is what I want them to avoid. And they seemingly have done that right now with every position besides right guard. I mean, sure. Do you want to make the argument that Roy Robertson Harris and Darius Alexander are good enough? All right. I don't believe it at all, but
right.
And even with those guys, they should be adding names to that room anyway.
Correct. Well, and also Darius Alexander's a different type of defensive tackle than what you're looking to sign anyway.
Right. So get it done.
Yeah. Kind of a sneaky big year for Darius Alexander, too. It's year 2, bro. You're old. Make some plays.
Yeah, usually when these year 3, year 4 defensive tackles would break out, you want to start to see progress, right?
Yes. And I just burped. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, that's how we'll end it.
Yeah, I've had nausea all day.
Depending on what the Giants do or don't do in the back end of the week, that'll depend on if you see Shaun or not for the back end of the week.
Ooh. See my back end or just see me on the back end?
No, I'll see you next Tuesday. All right. All right. I'll see you all later. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let's go Giants.
It starts today. Let's go Giants. We bleed blue.